Joe. Joe.
Yeah? What? Wait, who's talking to me right now?
Who do you think? Come on, take your best guess.
God?
I thought you didn't believe in me.
I don't know,
I'm just messing with you. This is your subconscious, actually. I'm being projected loudly for comedic effect, but let's face it, you haven't been truly funny since episode 3.
Maybe I should be consulting a wiser sage. In the immortal words of Ricky's mom, Mrs. Smith. You don't need words to speak the international language. The language of love.
Hey, I've been funny. Observation of the writer, the Oscars acceptance speech. You know.
Okay, well, we might have cracked a smile, but let's be candid, shall we? You could use a little sprucing up.
You know what? It's branding. You wouldn't understand that.
Yeah, because I'm just the deep, introspective part of your psyche, that's all.
I've been out there. I've done on-location intros. Besides, Brian Gumbel does the same intro from the same seat in the same studio every month.
You're no Bryant Gumbel. We'll just talk about this more when you're dreaming tonight.
Ooh. Can I dream? The one where I get carried onto a golden throne while scantily clad women throw little pickles at me?
No.
Well, I'm the only one that has that dream.
You see, that was funny. We kind of stole it from a movie.
Can I start the show already?
Please.
Even the voices in your head will tell you it's always time to go indie now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of It's Time to Go Indie Now. This is episode 15, and I am your host, Joe Compton, and I welcome you to our show, and thank you for joining us, and get ready for what is going to be a very awesome episode. We're going to be exploring the principle of having a voice, and in this industry, in the artist world, having a voice is paramount. It is the thing that drives you. It is the thing that separates you. It is the thing that makes you who you are in this world. And it could be that it's about the voice that you represent as a person. It's the voice that you hear as the characters that you're writing or as the music you're playing. It is the voice of, morals and the compass in which you project where you're going within your stories and what you're telling. And that is all part of what we explore in this episode.
I read a lot. So I would read a book and I go, I could do better than this. They took my story. So my husband said, well, why don't you write that book? And I started out writing short stories and submitted those, and they were published. And I'm like, oh my gosh, someone actually paid me money to write a book, or write a story. But it's because of my husband that I actually started writing.
Not because of the voices in your head?
Well, yeah. I mean, once I started writing, voices just wouldn't shut up. But it's really funny when, like this last book, I just finished it last night. It kept going and going and going. I said, these people just would not stop talking to me. They just keep talking and talking, and they won't die. Finally, I did finally end it last night. So it's really amazing how you start writing, and it's just like, it's not, I don't actually hear voices, but you can just hear these thoughts just talking. I want to say next, so this is how I'm going to react to this situation. And then the person who you think is going to be, the criminal ends up, no, it's not me, it's me.
What advantages do you think you've enjoyed having started this journey a little later in life?
Well, it's the freedom. I'll be 59 shortly, so I retired early, and it's just the freedom of not having the responsibilities of, yes, as an adult. My husband's very financial savvy, very frugal, and so I just have more time, more resources.
In your mind, what's a key to a good mystery?
Key to, it has to be a page turner. You can't give away the murderer. If you do, then you've got to write it to where, why on earth would this person do this crime? You've got to, that's when you start digging into the psyche of what happened to this person that made them what they are, like a psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he would never do something like that. And yeah, he did. He did it 5 times. I think that's what makes a good mystery. Either, wait till toward the end, keep people guessing. Try to make them think it's this person. A lot of red herrings to reveal the character. Don't give away exactly why they did this. Let it build and build and build to a crescendo, and then boom, there it is.
What do you think every good gumshoe possesses, character trait-wise? What do you think a good detective should have?
Sharp wit. There's got to be a little bit of humor in there. You can't have someone who's always, no stick in the mud. I think there's got to be a little humor in there. They do. My father-in-law is a retired chief of police, and he's got a great sense of humor, even though he has seen a lot of stuff in his many, many years of being in the police department. So you've got to have some humor there. You've got to have they've got to have a little wit, I think.
What a great resource to have. You can
I have some real, yeah. No, he's been retired for a while. He still has friends that if he doesn't know the answer, he can get them for me. And I'm also I'm friends with a forensic pathologist.
Nice.
Which
you know all the right people then.
Yep, I have a friend who's an FBI agent. I have a friend who is he's a doctor and his specialty is poison. Resources. I do a lot of research for my books. Try to make them very authentic.
What's your opinion on writing so dark? Is it something that truly everyone possesses inside of them, or was it that hard place to find and go to sometimes?
Oh, it was really easy to go to that dark place. I mean, it really is. When those characters start talking, I just put myself in their place, and I try to think like my characters. One of the, I think you're referring to in Criminal Kind, where they said I had a really devious mind. That the motive murder there, it was when I talked, I don't want to give it away, but when I was talking to my resource person, who's the doctor in poison, when I told him what I was going to do, he said, "Oh, Marianne, that is just ingenious. I've never heard anybody do that before." But my husband sleeps with one eye open. Yeah, I found this new poison, and I wrote it. I had a little piece of notepaper. I wrote it down, and what would happen when you ingested this poison. And it was sitting on the countertop. When he came in, he looked at it, and he goes, "Is that for me?" But I just start thinking of how I want to kill somebody, and then go from there. How I could get away with it. But there is never a perfect crime. You'll always get caught eventually. So, but yeah, it's not hard for me to get dark and devious.
Ever considered being traditionally published at any point?
Yes, I did. I actually went to Killer Nashville in 2013. Getting an agent and someone picking up my first book, Brilliant Disguise. And I talked to several authors there who had started their path into being a writer traditionally. And once their contracts ended, they decided to self-publish. And they gave the pros and cons to both traditionally and self-published. And the self-published just seemed to outweigh the benefits of the traditional.
What do you like about being indie?
Freedom. I can write what I want to write when I want to write. If I want to have a book out every 3 months, I can do that. If I just want to have a book out once a year and really groom it to be an excellent book, I can do that too. I think sometimes they ask you, I know I have some friends who are traditionally published, and it's just constant. Oh man, I got to get this book out. I can't breathe. I can't do anything. I have just got to sit down and get this book done. And I have the freedom of, I can sit down and write a book when I want to. And I just like this. I like my covers. I keep showing my book. I like being able to say, because all my book covers are different. They're sort of similar. But I like the freedom of my books don't have to look alike. A lot of the books you see in series, they all look alike. The colors may be different, but they're basically the same book cover. So I like the freedom of being able to control what my book covers look like.
Obviously, you have one recurring character, and I'm sure you have more. How do you decide when you're going to grow the character or regress them? Are you very careful about that? Are you very, or are you just letting them naturally progress?
I'm just letting them naturally progress. Each book, there's just a little bit of something that comes out in their character. In the first book, the two main characters were all, sweet and nice and all that. And then as they progress, you see a little darker side to each of them, maybe a little bit more human.
Have you ever held anything back that you've discovered about your characters for the next book?
Yes. I'm not going to tell you what it is, and then everybody will know.
No. Don't give it away. Don't give it away. I'm just curious because, oftentimes those are the decisions you have to make in editing that are tougher because you do want people to know this character, but you also don't want to give too much away, right? To entice them to move forward with the series.
Yeah, because it's just like a normal relationship. When you get to know them, the more you see, dig deeper into their psyche and everything else, and you determine, yes, I like this person, and I want to continue to see them, or I don't. And I think that's the way my characters are in my books. It's like first date in the first book, I love these characters, and then you just get to know, my characters, you get to love them even more.
You belong to the Sisters in Crime.
Yes.
Which is a very famous group. Even there's local ones and there's local chapters and things like that. What do you think they've done for you in your writing? How have they helped you?
Oh, each month we have a different speaker, and that's where I met my forensic pathologist. Was at a Sisters in Crime meeting. She came and I told her, because she said, if you have any questions, just give me a call. I said, are you serious about that? Because if you give me your card and your email, I will contact you. She said, no. But just getting the resources for writing and tips about the business side of writing. So that, to me, that's the biggest thing I've gotten out of Sisters in Crime, is just the tools for my craft.
Do you think it's important to be a part of writing groups and to encourage one another?
Yes. Embrace each other and hold them up, and not try to tear each other down. Just come together as a family.
So you've done some book signings and author events. What did you learn there, and what advice would you give a young author who might be trying to do this for the first time?
Well, you need to get the word out way before your book signing. First of all, you've got to market it. Put it out on all your social medias. My first book signing, big blow. I had lots of people there, but I also had lots of free food. So, but you don't have to do that. I had a band and free food, so who's going to pass that up, right? It was in a little public park too. So, sure, I'll come listen to the band and have some food, and I'll buy your book. The first book signing, I think you should maybe get together with your local library and work with them, so you won't have that big, huge expense. Because a lot of authors just don't have a lot of money to be doing a big blowout like that. But I had saved for that big blowout. So, but And most authors, I think, just keeping it low key, getting the word out, and do have a little few giveaways there, because that's how you can draw people to your text. They can look at it and then they kind of feel guilty and buy your book.
In 1986, Phyllis Whitney penned a very famous letter to the mystery writers of America. In it, she expressed her and her colleagues' displeasure at the lack of diversity that were being represented in the Edgar Awards. The Edgar Awards is the award show that recognizes the best in mystery writing, horror, crime, and thrillers, and women were not being nominated for awards. Well, in 1987, during the Edgar Awards, when her and her colleagues attended the ceremony, they got together, and that became the very first meeting of the Sisters in Crime organization. It's a very famous organization now that is across the country and in a few chapters in Canada. And you just met one of its members, Marianne Edwards. My many thanks to her for being a part of our show. And check out the Sisters in Crime if you haven't. If you're a mystery writer or a thriller writer or a fan, there's some great writers within that group, some great indie writers, Marianne being one of them, of course. All right, we'll be right back.
Hello everyone, this is OKUBO for GoIndieNow. Welcome to my episode on book reviews. First of all, a quick update. My books, Memories, Brotherhood, Kaoru and Love's Shadow, and Love. If you want a signed copy, you can go ahead and contact me through one of my links, and I will order the book here, sign it for you, and send it straight to you. All right? You take care with that. Now, today's review. Get yourself a glass of wine or a drink, something to buckle down to. Because today we're talking about Voices in My Head by, let me get the glare out of the way here, Zack Lester. It's an amazing read. It's such a beautiful read, but the cool thing about it is that it's an anthology style book. You're going to get more stories. It's well worth the price. It's definitely, I would say, 4.5 star review, just on the way the structures are done and the way he keeps you on the edge of your seat. You'll get through the first 3 or 4 chapters, I would say, within a good 10 minutes time of nice reading. And just because you're going to lose track of time, it's such a great read book. You're going to fly through the rest of the stories in under a day, probably, if you're a very quick reader. If you're not, this is a good weekend book to take home. And the interesting about it is, and I'm not going to spoil anything here, but the interesting about it is the stories themselves. They pack a punch every single time. When you finish one and you go straight to the next one, you have to take that breather. You have to really, really get yourself in the mood to move back and say, whoa, what did I just read? And then come back into it and say, okay, let's go again. So it's kind of like great roller coaster ride. You're going to go up, get that great high, and then you're going to need that short breather to catch your breath before you go plunging down to the next story. All right? So pick yourself up a copy of, get it up here, Zack Lester's Voices in My Head. Now, on the other news, the Indiegogo finished. We were able to raise a little bit of money. I'm going to start another Indiegogo within this next month. Get that going again, because we really want to get that money out there. If you have any interest in funding this great thriller movie, please contact me through the links or get in contact with Joe through one of his links to let us know you want to help and you want to join in, and we'll let you know how you can help. And we have great perks to provide you for that. All right? So again, this is OKUBO for GoIndieNow. You guys have a good one, and keep those voices coming.
Take your finest scotch. Divide the cost in half. And that's what we'll have.
Between the lies there are truths. Love after the forever.
Love.
Before the one and only. The truth is there. Love.
started playing guitar in high school. Started joining bands. And after that, just kept on going. For whatever strange reason, I didn't realize where that would take me. Of course, nobody really knows what the future is about. I don't. And from band to band, and eventually, meeting great musicians who taught me a lot and continue to, teach me a lot. And recording songs that I started writing pretty soon after I started playing guitar, but I just got more and more into songwriting a few years later. So it's started more with guitar, then singing, and then songwriting. I figured, let me see if I can bring a few things together musically and lyrically in a way that hopefully passes on as much joy to others as I'm getting from the songs I listen to that I love.
Led you down the road to play or choose the genre of pop or urban folk as you describe it on your website? That sound, what and how did you manage to do that and yet stay away from the conventions of those genres? Because you don't typically have that poppy lyrical content.
Yes, I actually started playing classical guitar as I was playing with bands. I figured, it'd be kind of a good thing to learn how to do this from a different angle and see if I can add to the understanding of the instrument and the technique, which led me to really look into finger picking and playing, without the pick. Practicing that way, learning pieces and music that I would not have necessarily been exposed to that much. So when I futz around with the guitar, I often, bring into it some of the finger work that I studied, and and also I would think some of the musical constructions and some of the melodies in here and there, not to say by any means that a lot of the classical learning has filtered through, but I would say that it makes for a mix that is, at least from what I hear it, different.
Every second with all you've got.
That's probably because of that mixture that may not be part of some of the musicians out there. And I also feel like I want to do something musically that I'm not afraid, if you will, or I certainly don't feel the boundaries of fitting in. I don't have a sense that, hey, I better be, right in the groove there, or wow, what is going to happen? So I will always be on the side of bringing together different things, different flavors. And it is hard to categorize things when you yourself don't feel like you are madly in love or attached to a category. So I don't even know how to name it other than sort of starting with words that people are used to. Mm-hmm. And hopefully it's not misleading them, What
is the key for you in crafting a good song?
I would say that immediately I have to feel like I have a musical theme that grabs me, and I put it through the test. So I would, I'll sit with my guitar for hours and sing along and futz around and play other songs that I love from people, or play pieces of music and veer off. And then along the way, something will come up and I'll be, wow, hey, that's kind of interesting. So I'll tape it, I'll put it on a small voice recorder that I have lying around. And we'll see if it survives. If it doesn't leave me alone, the next time I pick up the guitar, I go to it, or it wakes me up and I go, I have to really listen to this. Then I will pursue that and see if it develops into something that can be married, to use the word with all the respect in the world, with lyrics or a lyrical theme that also piques my interest because of the imagery I can bring into it, or because it tells a story. And that's how I have a starting point. If I have those two things at the very beginning of them brought together in a way that I feel, hey, I want to hear more as to where this is going to go.
What's the best advice you've received about being a musician?
A DJ that I met, he said, if it sounds that good, why doesn't it sound better? And that wasn't about the most recent work I've done. It was early on, a few years back. And I thought, I better make sure things sound as best as I can.
Wide awake, counting craters on the moon.
I would assume then that later on, as you get more into the business, that you want to explore maybe doing an album that has a theme to it.
Together in my, definition of a theme or musical approach to it, it's sort of a journey for you to go through as a listener. So if you start the record from song 1 to the last song 12 or 10 or perhaps even 15, you are going to go through different places in a different way and go from softer acoustic sounding tracks to a solo track to band tracks with different feels to them. And that's what I like. I have to say, from a musical standpoint, if I had to use a model or models, I'm really, I have a few albums that I have enjoyed ever since I was made aware of them. But some of them are from the 70s and some of them are current records. I would say an album by Queen, the band Queen, called Jazz, has variety in it, tremendous variety from musical approaches, and the songs are very different from one another. Also, the first Billy Joel record, if I'm not mistaken, is that way as well. And it's probably around the same time in the history of music. I love what Eminem did in some of his records in terms of, again, the variety within the genre. As opposed to a more consistent sounding record, as it is equally enjoyable. I'm not, it's not like I don't like it. I think Katy Perry makes great records. I think live records can be really interesting in that respect, especially compilations of live takes, not necessarily just one concert.
Do you like about being indie?
It's the best path for me. It is true to my inspiration, true to what I love to listen to, and hopefully it will please quite a few other folks along the way, which is really the first dream I have. I can do and do just about anything I want. I don't, question whether it's going to attract bigger crowds, that, hey, it's going to add up people, and I'll get to the 20,000 New Yorkers who are going to come to the Garden, or tri-state area folks. I don't think that way. I just go with, as I explained, where the music takes me.
Are you afraid that there's not enough room for artists like yourselves who are scraping in there and trying to claw their way into getting on those playlists? Or do you think that it's the opposite, that the discovery of you is going to win people over?
The only thing I hope, and truly hope, is that because there is so much available, and because people have choices that are not forced upon them, right? That may the best music rise to the top.
Yeah.
And if I can get there through work, inspiration, whatever it takes, well then fantastic. If others beat me to it, if you will, or have the chance to gather more attention because their music is great, all the best, because I will benefit from it, right? And what I hope for is that I will have a song one day, if I don't have it already, that will just create a buzz, that people will say, hey, I just heard that. Have you heard that? That's really good.
Yeah.
And how far does it travel around the world, or whether it's through Facebook or some other meme? I don't know, but it will have to be on the strength of the music, and that's, to me, is fair. I'll take that. I'll take those odds. They're low odds, but they're less dependent on the mechanic of a business that I would definitely have no control over, and that I don't think audiences have control over.
2011, Central Park, New York issued what they called quiet zones for particular spots within the park's landscapes, mostly around fountains and beautiful noise-oriented, meditation spots, if you will, which it caused an uproar in New York City. Musicians revolted and they protested, and there was a big concert in name of that. And since then, 6 years later, it's all kind of quieted down, and there's been accepted spots for musicians to go to, and those spots have flourished and allowed musicians a little bit more freedom, actually. They're all playing within a certain spot, but it really gives the park even more allure if it didn't already have that. And on certain days, I'm sure during the summertime and maybe even during the winter, you might find JL, our guest right there, playing in those spots. So, my many thanks to Jay for that great interview. It was an awesome conversation, and definitely go check out his album, Rising Tide. It is very good. He is a prolific singer and songwriter, and his voice is very, very strong. All right, we'll be right back, everybody.
You hear some strange things on the internet, don't you? The Earth is flat, the Illuminati is real, and probably my favourite of all, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, is as good as The Empire Strikes Back. What? What was that? What? Rogue... Yeah, I heard you. Are you fucking mental? Are you mental? I have to talk about The Empire Strikes Back very quickly. I know it's not the most original recommendation, but it counts as indie. George Lucas, probably the most successful indie filmmaker of all time. And The Empire Strikes Back, although he didn't direct it, blah, 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 is just absolutely incredible. And there's no way Rogue One comes anywhere near it. I watched it the other day. I wasn't even sure what I was going to review this month, but I watched it the other day, Empire, and, from the very first, from the title crawl to the very last moment, I was absolutely enthralled. And if you average it out, that I've probably been watching it since I was 4 years old, maybe if you average it out twice a year, I've probably watched that film 70 times, easily 70, more most likely. It was still fresh the other day. Han and Leia, their love story is just so brilliant. I love you, I know. I love 3PO, R2D2, Luke's story with Yoda, all the action, all the music. There's just no point in even going over this. The asteroid field, the fight through the asteroid field, and the music swell is just absolutely amazing. All the stuff on Cloud City, the confrontation between Luke and Vader, and the whole end, the last half an hour, the music, and they're just fighting stormtroopers, trying to escape, trying to rescue Han. Oh man, just that whole movie is just excellent. 5 out of 5 without doubt, okay? What is this? My whole life I've been saying Han Solo, so now for this review I randomly say Han. What the hell's that all about? Empire Strikes Back, watch it. It was just not even just watch it. And, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, ain't too bad either, but yeah.
Started writing quite young, and it was only after I wrote a poem in school and got that published in a collection that they were gathering poems for. I think it was inspired by Martin Luther King at the time, and I got that published, and I just got a bit of a feel for it really, and figured that if I could write a poem I maybe could write something else. So I just started writing short stories and eventually wrote my first novel. And I've actually been a self-published author since the age of 18, and I'm 25 now, so I've had quite a few years at it, and that's really where it all began for me. And prior to that, I can't really remember ever wanting to be an author.
If people can't tell, Miss Hardcastle is from beyond the pond, across the pond. So I'm curious to know, though, was there any challenges for you self-publishing or indie publishing because of that fact?
Well, thankfully, when I write, my accent, my Yorkshire accent doesn't come out, so that's a positive. But yeah, I think the shipping prices for me are a little bit more expensive with CreateSpace being an Amazon US company. There are problems when paying in pounds and converting to dollars as additional charges and things. But other than that, I think because Amazon have such a wide reach and other distributors do as well, there's very little standing in anybody's way, no matter where you are in the world.
You described your work as high fantasy. Explain what you mean by high fantasy.
High fantasy being a large amount of characters, a large volume of characters, several viewpoints, a large setting, world building, a little bit like the Lord of the Rings kind of setting. That to me is high fantasy. And it's what I love reading, and I'm reading Lord of the Rings again actually as at the moment. So it's one of my favourite genres to read, and I think because of that, it's now my favourite genre to write. So,
I mean, how deep do you get into the world building aspect? Do you have like your own maps and language and things of that nature?
In my first series, which is a kind of a young adult high fantasy series, the first one's actually free on Kindle. I did develop part of a language. I don't think I ever fully developed it. It was only basically what was needed to get the point across, and I think it would have taken a lot longer to develop a whole language by myself. But yeah, I go quite deep into my world building, and I quite enjoy it as well. I do an awful lot of research, and I'm recently sort of getting into map making and building a world that way as well, a visual world for my readers. So I didn't actually produce a map for the book itself at first. I did then go on and do some very basic map making just because I'd had a request for it so often, and being self-published, it's great because you can then go back and update books and things. So I actually inserted one, and since then I just thought I'd learn different ways to do it, kind of with Photoshop, and I think the system's called GIMP, GIMP, which is free, and just found it really easy, and that there was plenty of tutorials out there that would make it look more professional and more like something that you would see in the Lord of the Rings. And I think then I'd had so many requests for insiders information and lists of characters and their superpowers. And so I think the next high fantasy book that I bring out will have all of that in the book itself. But in the past sort of series, it's only really the first book that includes all of that, just because I've had so many requests for more information. So, but in my future books, there will definitely be lots of goodies in the front.
Nice. So, what is your writing style? Are you a plotter, pantser? Do you do a combination of both? How do you start your writing process?
I am a bit of both. I used to just jump in and go for it, and whatever got wrote on the page at the time was there to stay, and it would then get improved, but nothing would be deleted. I was very, I put it down at the time, that's what I wanted to write, so there it stays. And I've met quite a lot of writers since then, obviously, and they've managed to somehow bring me around to plotting and rewriting and getting a little bit more into that. So now I'm kind of halfway. I like to do lots of research at the beginning, and I like to get a basic roadmap of where I'm going, the start and finish points. But I can't say that I obsess over it. I just make sure that I know the basics of the story, so it's easy for me to write.
I was just going to ask you, do you find it easier to actually have it mapped out a little bit more because of the nuances and the complexities of world building?
Yes, and especially with my previous series, I mean, it's an old series. I started writing it in 2010 and decided to rewrite and bring it back out again, give it a bit of a refresh and bring my newest skills into it a little bit. And I found that actually going back and doing like story beat kind of notes and outlines and jotting things down as I read through the old drafts actually helped me to write the later books, because I had all that information there. So it almost made me wish that I'd been smart enough at the time to do that beforehand. So that's kind of reminded me just how important having that roadmap actually is. So I do urge new writers especially not to make the same mistake that I did and just go at it blind, because it's so much harder.
Where have you been most successful in your marketing efforts?
Social media is a huge one. That's probably something that all the authors will tell you. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Learning to use cameras and headsets and meeting other people and learning how to edit videos and things. I think putting your face out there and allowing people to see you and a book, it gives the reader something visual about you as well. There's something really special about being able to hear the voice and see the face of your next favorite author. So I think learning YouTube and gaining confidence that way has helped me.
Give us one advantage of being an indie author right now is.
I'm a control freak and I like to do everything myself. So that's a huge advantage. Being able to pick your own cover and your own editor, or learn to edit yourself. I've learned from being 18 years old and releasing my first book. That was the first thing I did. You fix my book. And I used some software and actually taught myself. So now that I don't need the software, because I've done it so many times over and over, that I know what I'm looking for. And it's really fun being an indie author and being able to do all that myself and not have other people's fingers in the pie.
A lot of visits to schools, I've noticed. Where did that start? How did you decide to do that? Is that something that you really wanted to do right off the bat?
I think I just want to inspire children to do what I do. They can be whoever they want to be. That it doesn't matter who they think they are at the moment or who other people think they are. We all go through school at one point fighting for popularity, fighting to be somebody or to mean something in a very big pond, and we feel like a very small fish. And I just think it doesn't really matter at the moment what you feel or who you think you are, because that can change, and that you can be whoever you want to be, and you just got to work for it. And the proof is that I went into the school, the first school, Low Ash Primary School, and did a workshop with them. And at the end of it, they worked extremely hard during it anyway, but at the end of it then told them that they were going to be authors, and we put together 2 books, and I've never seen such excited faces, and suddenly then they wanted to work so much harder for it. And it was just so inspiring to think they're willing to work for it. They've only just found out that this is possible, and they're so willing to just knuckle down and get those words on the page. And yeah, writing's very difficult and it's very time consuming, but I think it's also really freeing, and it brings a lot of other skills as well, particularly in the workplace. Knowing grammar and spelling just on its own is vital, especially if you just want an office job these days. So I think I just want to inspire children to tell the stories that they want to tell, because human beings, no matter what age we are, we love stories, we love to hear them, we love to tell them. I think kids are fantastic, and they say what they mean, and I think that's why we love them so much. They're wonderful.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about our youth today?
People tend to look at children and see kids with their heads down in mobile phones and gaming, and I think there's this strange view that they're only interested in what they see on the screen. And actually, working with children in schools now, that's not true. There's more than 90% of the children that I spoke to would probably have gone home and discussed the visit that I gave and the workshop that I gave more than they actually wanted to go home and play on a video game. And that's because it's something new and it's something exciting. And I think the only reason that video games and mobile phones grab so much attention for children is because they're new and they're exciting and they're different and they're cool. And if we can make reading cool again, I think it'd be just as in as everything else is at the moment. So I actually don't agree with the view that children just that they're not interested anymore. They're not interested in books. They just want to put their heads down. They're antisocial. I really don't agree with that. Having spent time with them in schools, that's not true.
I found it fascinating that in Greek, Pandora means all gifts, especially knowing Greek mythology. If you know Greek mythology at all, you know the story of Pandora, who is the first mortal that Zeus encounters. And with it, he hands her a jar that has all the world's ills and troubles in it and tells her never to open it. Of course, she does, and thus why we have the phrase opening Pandora's box. But I also think it's very neat that our previous guest, Rachel Hardcastle, tied that in there. Now knowing the actual origin of the name Pandora in Greek is all gifts, with her high fantasy series being called Finding Pandora, which you can get all the links to on our YouTube description box below, along with her great podcast called The White Room, which is on YouTube as well. Check that out. She does a really good job. And I can't commend her enough for, I'm a big believer in pay it forward, as evident by the previous Sunday Fun Day that we just had on GoIndieNow, where I asked everybody on YouTube to pay it forward. She does that in droves with her work with children in schools. She's very active in that community, and being a young author that she was, I find that pretty cool that she's paying that forward and helping youngsters realize their potential and hopefully bring some new budding indie authors into the world. That would be amazing. And again, I can't thank Rachel Hardcastle enough for the great interview and the work that she does. We'll be right back. Finally, for this episode, I wanted to kind of do my own little indie music review segment and talk to you about it being Memorial Day and all this weekend. We're coming up on a lot of holiday weekends and a summertime that are full of music festivals. The music festivals are rocking and rolling. We just had Rock on the Range. Coachella was last month. We had the Wacken Festival just a couple weekends ago. All of these festivals all over the world are going to harbor a ton of great talent and an amazing array of bands that you spend a lot of money to go to these festivals. And I never understood the douche move of going to just see the headliners. Spending all the money and going to, a lot of people will go to the opening of the festival, but then they'll go to the bar and just hang out and get drunk, and then they're sloppy and they're sluggish when it comes to the headlining times, and they don't even enjoy the headliners. I never understood that philosophy, because let me tell you something. There's a lot of bands that are mainstream right now that got their start being that side stage, or even in that little stage that they sometimes have at these festivals, like the Jägermeister stage, where they put it right in the middle of the concession stand in the most auspicious spot you could actually put a stage, and somehow they find a way to do it. And these bands go out there and they perform for you for 30 or 40 minutes. I guarantee you, do yourself a favor. You can always get a beer. The beers flow throughout the entire festival. Grab a beer, then go walk around. Make sure you get some water too, because a lot of these festivals, it's during the summertime and it's really hot. Always hydrate, please. Always hydrate. But so have a beer and a water. Go walk around, experience these festivals, because there's some great concession stands, and I know pricing is outrageous for a lot of those things, but the one thing I do know is that if you take the time and invest the time to sit there and listen to a few bands at the side stage, I guarantee it right here. I'll stamp it right here as a guarantee. You will find at least one band that you'll go home, you'll remember the name of the band, or you'll try to remember the name of the band, and you'll look 45 minutes on iTunes for them, but you'll end up finding them, and you'll download their stuff, and then you'll become a fan of theirs. There's several bands that I can think of that that's happened to me over the years. One in particular was Devil Driver. They opened the Ozfest one year, and out of a whim, I don't typically go and see the first band because they usually start playing right as they're letting people in, and sometimes you don't get in until they're halfway through their set, which is another ridiculous thing. I never understood Ozfest doing, but I guess because they had so many bands, they had to get it going, and they start right on time. But that being said, I did happen to catch most of Devil Driver's first set, and they were the very first band that opened Ozfest that year, and they blew me away. They set the tone for the rest of the day, and that was one of the best festivals I ever been to, because I found 4 or 5 other bands that I really loved. But I went home, I downloaded their stuff, and now I'm like a huge fan. So, and the other thing about those side stages is a lot of those bands are indie bands. They wouldn't have this opportunity if it wasn't for this festival. So go and support them. Go and show your love, and I guarantee you're going to find a new favorite band. It's inevitable. And while we're on the subject, I don't mind people wearing the concert T-shirt of the band they're going to see and love. That's fine. But for all sakes, please, oh my gosh, if you're wearing the shirt that you bought in 1987 that has the holes in it and the faded name and the faded logo of the band, dude, go buy a new shirt. I know they're expensive, but man, I think it's time. Go get another shirt and enjoy a festival, because these things, they cost a lot of money, and I guarantee you'll get your money's worth if you definitely take a look at the side stage and get a new shirt. Please. Anyway, everybody, that's our show for this episode. I really appreciate. I want to thank Rachael Hardcastle, JL, and Marianne Edwards. Of course, my reviewers, Jason GREENSIDES and OKUBO, for their great reviews. Great segments, guys. And all the folks who submitted their stuff for new releases, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed what I did for you there. And get ready for an interesting, very cool way to tie all this together. The voices in our heads is going to speak through this little short film. And here's one of the actresses, Cheryl Elizabeth Abreu, to introduce you to The Frightening. All right, everybody, remember, it's always time to go indie now. We'll see you next time.
Hi everyone, my name is Cheryl Elizabeth Abreu, and I played Winter in the short film you're about to watch called The Frightening. We had a good writer. His name is Christopher Seines. I hope I said that right. Something else that's cool to know about this short film was that the Ouija board was handmade. It's really freaky looking. I hope you like it, and let me know what you think. Thanks, bye.
Really gotta have a camera here? Just for shock value, Dakota. In case we get something good. There was an old woman, all skin and bone. She went to the churchyard all alone. She looked up, she looked down. She saw the corpse lying on the ground. Lovely, sis. Shit's not creepy at all. Father, Father, so she said, shall I look so when I'm dead? The sexton to her maid reply, yes, my darling, by and by. That was unsettling. I was just reminded of an old British tune. Little girls used to play Old Woman, All Skin and Bone. The point being, it's supposed to be a cautionary tale about the dead that come back and take vengeance on those who disturb them. I wanted to sing it to appease, anything we may disturb. I say we call this off. This is wrong. Don't flake on me, Kay. You heard strange noises in the walls. Might have been rats. And screaming in your bed in your own sweat the other night from seeing shadows. Mom and Daddy wouldn't approve. Mom and Dad are gone. Dead. Like AWOL from the face of this earth. Cancer does that to people, I work. I pay for your school. I protected you when you wigged out the other night. Look, chances are this is just some silly board game anyways. But just think, what if Mom and Dad are trying to reach us, from the other side? To let us know they're okay? Exactly. I'd say that'd be worth doing it, don't you think? Besides, we're both good girls. Well, you more than I. That's a stand for some kind of good luck, right? Yeah. I've seen horror flicks. One of us holds the planchette, and we ask a question to whatever's here. Then, the sexiest one dies. So, me. Not funny, Winter. Okay, chill, sis. You can die first, then. My name is Winter, and I'm here with my virginal sister, Dakota. Is there demons here? Dummy! Asking for demons is like letting a serial killer in the front door. I am the abandoner of hope. What? Stop it right now. I can't. My hands are like glued to this thing. I am self-begot. I am Grace. Devil. What are you? It's from Mountains Paradise Lost. I'm self-begot, self-raised. That's what he said when he rallied a third of all angels against God in his rebellion. I am ancient, unborn, I am awake. Here I come. Sorry, sis. Got the gun from Daddy's old stash. He said to keep it in case we got in trouble. We're safe now. There was an old woman, all skin and bone. She went to the church out all alone. She looked up, she looked down. She saw the corpse lie. She saw the corpse lie. Oh, I can't remember the words. Everything's going to be okay.
Hey, thanks a lot for watching our latest episode of our show. I hope you're enjoying what you're watching. And if you are, it would be really great if you could please like the video, share it, comment. It really helps us out. It gets us seen. It gets all these indie artists seen. And it's really an important thing for the YouTube community. So please, definitely like, share, comment the video that you just watched and any video that we produce. We always welcome feedback, and we always welcome the community to share what we're doing. It's really awesome, and that you guys are a part of this and helping us out. Also, please, if you see something you like or you think that's interesting, or you listen to an interview and you want to learn more about that person, go to our website. Our website link is going to be right here on this video. So check it out and go and patronize these great indie artists. Go buy their stuff. We have all the links to everything you could buy from them on our website. You can also go to their website and sign up for their newsletters, sign up for their blogs, and help get the word out about all of them. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.